Hey y'all, hey. So it is Mogul Mindset Monday. It is Mogul Mindset Monday. So come in so you can get your feel. To start off your week with a mindset shift, hopefully in a bit of an identity shift as well too. But come on in so you can get your feel for the week so we can have a masterful week. Hello, Coach A. Marie. Hello, Dr. Fred. Um, I need to know that you all are here because we're going to be talking about some things centered around leadership and self awareness today. Like I said, it's Mogul Mindset Monday. So if you are tuning in, that is what we're going to be talking about today. And the topic for today is being ready is more important than being prepared. Being ready is more important than being prepared. So, where did I get this from? Of course, from life experience, right? But just in my own experience of myself, working with my clients, conversations I've had with people at random, just in random places, um, we focus so much on being ready. We focus so much on being ready or getting ready, excuse me. Focus so much on getting ready that some of us never end up actually being ready. And it's really perplexing to me because we spend a lot more time telling people that we're getting ready and we're getting ready to do these things and we're getting ready to do this and we're getting ready to have this and we're getting ready to, you know, entertain this or make a move on this or make a move on that. And we literally never get out of the hamster wheel of getting. We always stay in the hamster wheel of getting. And that bothers me. Why? Because at some point you should be tired of trying to get ready and you should just want to be ready. You should want to just be, do, and have more. You should want to just be, do, have whatever it is that you're trying to work towards, right? You should want to be, do, and have whatever the outcome is that you're working towards, right? But we spend so much time trying to get ready. And what does that look like? That looks like really, it's really a trauma response for procrastination, is really what it is. Um, and we try to find different things to use as an excuse to hold back as to why we cannot just be ready instead of, constantly getting ready. And it's definitely a trauma response of procrastination. We use procrastination in so many different ways. It comes up in so many different ways. And I know for me personally, one of the common things in my life has always been that I value partnerships, I value connection, I steward my connections very well. But for some reason, the connections that I end up having with people after it get to a certain peak point, they end up dissolving. Or at least that's what it has been over like my past few years, right? So what happens is it's kind of like what has been told to me, what has been downloaded in my spirit constantly is that you're not supposed to be in anybody's shadow. And to some extent, that has caused some sort of procrastination in my life because I have allowed myself to be in people's shadows for too long. And it's because I never thought I was supposed to be in the forefront. It's because I never thought that I was supposed to have like the spotlight on me. It's because I always thought that I had to have like a valuable connection to believe that it was possible. And up until probably what last year, really, I've dispelled that myth for myself. I really, really have because I started realizing that the relationships are good until they're not good. And from the forefront, things seem okay, things seem aligned, things seem great, but it's just one of those instances to where you can't just be too good at what you do and then all of a sudden it starts becoming disruptive. And when I say being too good at what you do, is you get to a certain point in self-awareness and on your journey that you just end up realizing like, hey, you're really supposed to just be more than who you are supposed to be. If you are here, let me know that you're here so I can say, hey, share this with somebody as well too. But you don't go through life staying the same. At least you're not supposed to. You're supposed to embrace the evolution. You're supposed to embrace the transformation. You're supposed to welcome it. So it's always so hard for me trying to figure out why people spend so much time trying to get ready instead of just being the thing, right? Um, but I say all that to say, and I have a couple of statistics that I'm going to go over shortly, but I say all that to say is there's something powerful that happens when you start to come into yourself. Hey, Kim, it's something powerful that happens when you start to come into yourself. Sometimes the response that you get from external variables, it ends up throwing you off. It ends up catching you off guard because what you thought people would always be comfortable with, or what you thought people would always be accepting of, you end up finding out that they're not. And most of the time it's because they have not energetically found that self-awareness for themselves. Number one. Um, they have not. Number two, they have gotten to the point where it's somewhere along their journey, you have become intimidating to them. And it's intimidating in the sense of most times that they don't want to grow up, or that they don't want to tap into what their self-awareness or their self-discovery looks like for themselves, as far as them evolving into a different version of themselves. They're not welcoming the fact that things could actually be better for them if they would just step into that next version of themselves, which could start today. It could start today, it could start this minute, it could start this second. But we have this thing, hey Nikki, we have this thing that we just feel like it has to be so much, that has to be aligned, it has to be perfect. We have to receive so many downloads, we have to receive so many confirmations. And again, I always say, when I'm preaching to you all, I'm preaching to myself too, because I have been guilty of these things. Instead of just going with what you know deep down in the inside is the thing, just go and be doing half. Like, it's really that simple. Whatever you create as your reality is going to be that. And with somebody like myself who was recently coming out of, earlier this year, I had an emotional slump. I really did, because I cut off one of my business partners because the direction that I was going, that person wasn't going. And so it ended up taking a toll on me a lot more than it should have, but I allowed that to happen. But I also had to filter through it now, right? So it didn't come back and bite me later. But sometimes when you tap into that different level of evolution, that different level of transformation, it can be very intimidating to people. And I've always tried to understand why people find that intimidating, or why they find that as a reason that, they can no longer stay in connection with people. And honestly, it's just not energetically aligned. It may not even be that that person did something wrong to you, or you did something wrong to that person. For whatever reason, you all cannot both coexist in that space, because that space does not allow those energies to be mixing and coexisting in that one space, if that makes sense. So if you are somebody that, you're constantly elevating, you're constantly seeking to learn from your lessons, you're constantly seeking to learn from your failures if you have them, you're constantly seeking to just constantly upgrade, if you will. People that are not aligned with upgrading, or people that have not mentally aligned themselves with the art, the thought of upgrading, or being more than what their reality is, wouldn't be able to go to the same environments with you. It wouldn't be welcoming, in a sense, right? So let's just talk about a little bit of statistics that I found. So we are natural, for the most part, humans are natural born leaders, for the most part, especially women. We are natural born leaders. I know it's weird because men, quote unquote, run the world, but women are really natural born leaders. But humans, for the most part, according to a study done by Gallup, 10% of the population are natural leaders. 20% possess leadership traits, and with training and guidance, they can be great leaders. This is why coaching and mentorship is so important, because you have, if only 10% of the population are natural leaders, and it's 8 billion people plus, like, people having more babies every day. I know we passed 8 billion now. If you just think 10% of the population are natural leaders, and only still 20% of them possess leadership traits, but they just need a little bit of shaping. They need a little bit of coaching. They need a little bit of mentoring. Can you imagine how many people that is? Can you imagine how many possibilities are being left behind as far as people who are not wanting to become self-aware and not wanting to become self-led? Can you only imagine what that looks like? If we have a planet of over 8 billion people, these statistics are crazy. And I believe this study was just done last year, right? So, why is it that we should focus so much on developing our self-awareness? Why is it that we should focus on so much on being self-led? Why is it that you should dive more into what your purpose is here on earth and how to accomplish that mission? Why should you focus on that mission and that mastery? It should mean something to you, because what would happen if you did not? If you literally just came here to exist, like whatever reality you have today is the reality that you are accepting for the rest of your life. As an example, I'm gonna use my mama for an example, and not to tell her business, but it don't matter. But I'm gonna use my mama for an example. Me and my mama butt heads a lot because my mom would be 75 this year. However, I have seen her live a life that has not been conducive to her health or to her well-being, because she has always been somebody who has, I hate to say like dependent on other people, but she has developed this learned helplessness to where, like, if somebody if somebody is not helping to provide or take care of her or whatever the case may be, she doesn't really know how to go do the thing. And the thing that I've been butting heads with her about, as of recent, is that her health, what you're dealing with your health, doesn't have to be, you're accepting that as your fate. If you're only 75 years old, and I'm looking on, social media per se, I guess I'm being social media influenced in a sense. But if you're only 75 years old, and I'm seeing people 80, 90 something graduating with their bachelor's and their master's degrees, what does that tell you? You could change your reality at any point. The timeline does not matter, right? So what I fuss with her about is that she knows things are not going the way that she wants them to go. She knows that she has become solely dependent on, let's just say, this particular stream of income, right? She knows that. However, me as her daughter, trying to help shift her mindset, which is very hard for somebody that's 75 years old. Um, Me as her daughter, I still try to instill the belief in her that if she wants a different lifestyle, she can have it. She doesn't have to settle for what she's been settling for the past 30 years. She can determine tomorrow or today or at this second, wherever she is, right? She can determine at this second that she wants to do more, knowing that she has the support to do it. She could do that at this second. Hey, precious. She doesn't have to wait on a confirmation from somebody. She doesn't have to wait on an approval from somebody. She doesn't have to wait for her to have all of her ducks in a row to be able to say, okay, now I'm ready. She has everything she needs. She's always had it. However, what plays a role in this? You have external variables. Of course, she comes from a different era, right? She comes from a baby boomer era. So a lot of the stuff that was instilled in her is different than what was instilled in me over the past, 30 something years, right? That I've been here. Our eras are different. But the way you start doesn't have to be how you finish. And I try to tell people that often, like, you can start one way, but that doesn't have to be how you finish things. You are allowed to grow and develop yourself into a different version of yourself whenever you get ready. You are allowed to do that. You don't have to have the same business model. You don't have to serve the same business audience. You don't have to do the same daily activities that you do if you know that they're not conducive to your well-being, your health, whatever it is. I hope this is making sense to y'all, because y'all too quiet. But y'all, you do not have to do that. You can make the decision today to do whatever you want to do differently without consulting anybody else. And it's something that I have to constantly remind myself of, when I get in my head a little bit, because I do have moments when I get in my head. But it's constantly trying to instill in her that she's not too old to do what she wants to do. Granted, she has some limitations because she does have some mobility issues. However, I'm telling her that she has the support that she needs, which is me. Whatever she wants to make happen, we can make it happen. So she could change her life tomorrow if she wants to, but it's been a very kind of hard battle trying to get her to do it. And so at some point, it's probably a losing battle at some point. So that's just as an example, right? So if I'm somebody that I'm seeing this happening for multiple people across the globe each and every day, there's no reason that cannot happen to you. I've always wondered when I was growing up why, and this is probably gonna touch some people the wrong way, but it's fine. I've always wondered when I was growing up, while it seemed like black people had a different God from white people. Let's just be clear. Um, when really they're not different, they're the same. The same God that bless whatever group of people is the same God that can bless you. There doesn't have to be differences because of socioeconomic status or ethnicity or whatever. The same God that is doing the actions for that person is the same God that could do the actions for you. They're not different, right? It's all about your perspective. It's all about how you how you perceive what's happening, right? So if you perceive that there are two different people that are providing for you and for them, then that's what you'll always be led to believe. But for some reason in the black community when I was growing up, it always seemed like it was two different people that were doing the providing, and that's not true. It's the same person, right? It's the same, it's coming, the provision is coming from the same place. But you have a lot of people that have accepted that, right? So when they see rich people, which this never made sense to me either, because it's like when you see rich people, or when you see celebrities, even when you see so many people that have so much money, you identify like, man, what if I could have? It's not that you can't. You can. You can, right? It's not a difference, right? Not the God of struggle. This imaginary God that we have created of struggle. There's not a God of struggle. That doesn't even make sense. Like if you intuitively and like cognitively think about it doesn't even make sense, right? So at some point you have to take a form of responsibility. At some point you have to take a form of self-leadership to say that you are ready to just go and do what it is that you need to do. You all know what you need to do. I'm speaking to myself too. I know what I need to do. I'm in process of doing what I know I need to do. We get focused on the how a lot. A lot of people, especially with social exposure to social media, let's just be clear, the how is always the thing that we get focused to. Well, how is she doing it? Or how is he doing it? Or how are they making that happen? Right? But it shouldn't be the how. It should just be you know what you know, and the how will come as you start the process, right? It'll open up to you as you start the process, because it's this thing around fear. And this is another thing that bothers me, because we talk about this often. I see memes all day, I see statuses all day. It doesn't matter how many memes you share, it doesn't matter how many affirmations you quote, it doesn't matter how much of any of that you delve in. If that's not what you actually believe, it's not it's not possible. It's not possible. So it becomes way more than just you um, reciting words or sharing memes. It becomes way more than just you reading those things. At some point, you have to take action, and you have to sit in faith and in belief and say, like, this, I know this is what this is, and let it go at some point. But you have to be self-led enough to even trust the outcome to be whatever the outcome is going to be before you know all of the steps, for it to be the outcome, right? You have to be able to just be self-led to just go and do the thing that you need to do without knowing how the outcome is going to turn out, right? Or without seeing evidence of what the outcome is going to be. Let me put it that way. You know how the outcome is going to turn out because you're wanting, you're desiring that outcome. But you have to be able to sit in there without evidence, physical evidence of knowing how that's going to be or how this is going to turn out, right? So, let me go back over here. So, as I stated, Only 10% of the population are natural leaders. 20% possess leadership traits, and with training and guidance, they can be great leaders. So that means that there's tons of room for coaching and consulting, right? For those of you that are saying that the coaching industry is dead. Um, but what comes into it is when you are somebody who is more self-aware. How does this apply to entrepreneurs? When you are somebody who is more self-aware, you are more confident in what it is that you go do. And all of that self-awareness starts with you. It starts with you allowing yourself or giving yourself the permission. You are the only person that has to give themselves the permission to just be, right? You are the only person that has to give themselves the permission to just be in the state of readiness. So it puts you in the posture to be able to receive the preparation, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Shiftil. Um, because if you're never ready, you're never going to receive what it is that you need to be prepped, if that makes sense. You won't be in the posture to be able to receive what you need to be able to be prepared if you're never ready. If you're always trying to figure out how to get ready, or how to be that, you have to be in a certain posture to be able to receive that guidance, that direction, that whatever it is that you need, that you're calling for. You have to be in a posture to be able to receive that. And for those of us that we get to a point to where we feel like none of those things are coming, none of those things are working, it's definitely a self-check in your self-awareness, right? It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. But what I've known in my own personal experience is definitely that decisions like speed. Decisions like speed. So when you have made it up in your mind that you are going to go after a thing, it'll start happening way more quicker than you've ever seen. And it'll kind of blow your mind. It's happened to me several times. Just earlier this year, I knew what my mission was this year, and it's been happening. It slowed down for a little bit because I got in my feelings, but it's like I'm so self-aware now to where like I know when things. I'm like I'm able to go and self-check myself. I'm able to go and self-check myself. Hey, Adrian. So I know the moment that things are gonna seem off. I know the moment that I may see a slump. I know the moment that things gonna take off because I'm deeply sure of this, and I'm taking the action towards it. I'm taking the action towards it. Decision loves speed. Indecisiveness is one of the things that will slow you down. It will cut off your flow, and it will throw you off being in a state of indecisiveness. You don't have to be in a state of indecisiveness. I'm learning that too, right? Still learning it, right? You don't have to be in a state of indecisiveness. If you feel like nothing is going right in your life, if you feel like you're not having the outcomes that you desire to have, there is something that is going wrong in the cycles that you're putting out, the daily habits that you're putting out, right? If that's what you feel. You are choosing indecisiveness. Every morning that you get up, that you don't decide on a thing and stand firm in that decision, you are choosing indecisiveness. So it's hard for somebody to give you direction. It's hard for you to receive, the information that you need or the resources that you need when you're spinning your wheels in indecisiveness. Because even if I was to give it to you while you were in that state, you wouldn't know what to do with it because you would be so focused on trying to make the decision. You would still be in decision-making mode. You wouldn't know what to do with the resource. You wouldn't know what to do with the guidance or the assistance that I'm providing because you're so focused on, I don't have a clear decision. I hope this is making sense. I know this seems off, but it's okay. People think I'm off anyway, so it's cool. It's cool. But when you take the time to actually be decisive about what it is that you want, speed will come to your life and it will shock you. It really will. And you have to kind of prep yourself for that. But it will shock you to a point to where like things will start going so fast and so quick for you that you never knew anything like that existed inside of you to be able to do that. Because again, these are decisions that are made on your behalf. I'm preaching to myself too. I keep telling you, every time I'm preaching to you, I'll preach to myself, right? These are decisions that are made on your behalf. So in a business sense, instead of you saying, well, when I get the audience, I'll start going live. Or when I get the audience, I'll start posting more. When I get the audience, I'll start showing up more. When I get the audience, I'll start pitching my offers more. No. Or when I get the audience, I'll beef up my back end systems more. No. Because this is my thing too. And this happened to several people, especially during COVID. Oh my God. This happened to several people. And I have talked about this before. If you were to go viral today, and that overflow you've been praying for each and every day, you've been just praying for it and going to sleep, right? That overflow you've been praying for every day, just say, for instance, you post a piece of content and that content goes viral. And you go to sleep and you wake up the next day and you're so overwhelmed with notifications. Most of you all don't have no back-end operation set up, so you can't receive inquiries. A lot of people don't have a website. That's secondary to me, because you don't need a website to make money, but that's another conversation for another day. That's secondary. You don't have a website. You have no other way. You have no solid way for people to go through an inquiry process with you, or to just buy whatever it is they need to buy, because you decided that you weren't going to set it up. So now you have this overflow of inquiries that you're exhausted trying to go through manually, right? Hoping that you don't miss somebody, hoping that you respond fast enough. You're in this state of overwhelmed to where all of a sudden you're going to get to the point to where you shut down. That's the first scenario. Or number two, you get so many orders. You get so many orders or so many inquiries that you have to refund people because your back end wasn't set up right. It happened to several people over during COVID. They had received so many orders and so many inquiries because they had said they had so much inventory, which wasn't true, that it got to the point to where all of the orders that they couldn't fill, they had to refund people their money because they lied about what they had, right? But if you know you're in preparation for the overflow that it is that you're looking to receive, if you know that you're waiting on the overflow, you need to be in preparation for that. That's a state. You need to go ahead and start preparing the environment for that. That's a state. You have to start with what you have. Exactly, Adrian. If you don't start with what you have, you are always going to have the mindset of, I could just prepare it when I get it. That's not how it works. Because when you're in the actual actions or beings of having, when that overflow is already happening, you don't have time to say, oh, well, let me take a 20-minute break over here and try to set up what I need to say. It's too late then. You don't have time to be trying to tell them why you can't fulfill the order, or why you can't follow through with the inquiry, or answer questions about your product. You don't have time to do that in that state of trying to fulfill those orders. If you got 1,000 orders tomorrow, like 1,000 inquiries tomorrow. See, these are the things that we don't think about in terms of like setting ourselves up for success. Let me see, A. Marie, what you're saying. When I saw body butters during the pandemic, vendors couldn't keep up. Exactly. Thank God I had a secondary plan. That's why it's so important to know your business and process in the event that systems break down. Exactly. And a lot of you all don't have a process. You wake up, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. This might be how you start, but again, this cannot be how you finish, especially if you are looking to serve at a higher capacity, a higher crowd. If you want a B2B side of your business, you cannot take those behaviors and those mindsets into that. You can't do that. You have to go ahead and prepare yourself now. Every experience that you approach should be how you would handle that experience, that big time opportunity that you may be able to get, right? And that's also how you start planting seeds for that opportunity to come into fruition. That's a whole nother conversation for another day as well, too, right? The more self-aware you are, the more prepared you are, The more confident you are to go out here and go after the things without anybody's approval, without consulting any secondary conversation. And I'm not saying that this is always this way, but you'll be able to trust yourself a lot more in the decisions that you are making without having to consult extra parties and just knowing what you know. Because at the end of the day, you know what you know. Nobody can take that away from you. You know what you know. You are the expert. You are the thought leader. You are the person. You are the SME. We're looking to you for what you know. We cannot take away what you know. You know what you know. So you should present yourself like you know what you know. Right? Let me see. This particular article, this is an article on LinkedIn. It says that 95% of people claim to be self-aware, but we know that's a lie. Because we look at some of our peer groups and be able to pick out at least half of their peer group that doesn't really know, right? So it says 95% of people claim to be self-aware, but research shows that only 10 to 15% actually fit the criteria of self-awareness. That's a small number of people. Again, given the fact that we have over 8 billion people in the world, that's a small number of people. Very small. So how many people are actually holding themselves back to be in position for the greatness that they're seeking? A ton. Some people are going to go to the grave never having tapped it. Never having tapped it. They're going to go to the grave with it. That's too small of a percentage. So just think about that next time you're trying to make a decision about something that it is that you want to do. If only 10 to 15% of the people in the world are actually fitting the criteria for self-awareness, what are you consulting them for? What are you consulting them for? Right? If only 10 to 15%, what are you consulting them for? They don't even know. They don't even know themselves. They're not even self-aware enough with themselves. How they gonna be self-aware about you? They can't. They can't. It's only 10 to 15% of people, right? It's only 10 to 15% of people. So you have an internal self-awareness and you have an external self-awareness, right? That plays a role in this. So internal self-awareness involves knowing who you are on the inside. According to this person that wrote this article, Yuri, self-aware people know what makes them tick. They know their values. They understand their patterns of behavior. This is why I'm so firm in saying I'm self-aware, because I know when I'm having an emotional breakdown. I know when my nervous system been shocked. I know when I done did something that I ain't supposed to do. All of the red flags will start creeping, and I'll be like, nope, not doing this today. And I can stop it right there. I can stop it. It's not saying that I'm not still going to feel it from doing the spiral of the thing, right? Because I know the triggers. I know what it feels like when I start feeling that. And you're human. It's going to happen. It's going to happen all the time. Adrian, a lot of time people spin their wheels with no passion, but want a big outcome and income. Oh, absolutely. Let me put this on the screen. You have people that simply make decisions based off what they see happening to other people. This is good, Adrian. Based off what they see happening to other people. They have no passion. There's no mission. There's no values. There's no moral. There's no anything attached to it. But it's solely because they see something happening to somebody else. So they determine, which most of the time, these are the people that I'm going to do the same thing that person's doing, how they doing it, and it should work out the same way. No. You do not know that person's background. You do not know that person's upbringing. You do not know what that person has experienced through life to even be able to be where they are with what it is that they're doing. So for you to say that, not knowing any of that, and being so firm and saying, well, she did it. I'm a fan of saying she did it, I could do it too, but not a copycat. Like, you have to have some sort of passion, some sort of value, some sort of something that is drawing the connection to that. There's something that's instilled in you that's drawing the connection to that, right? There's some sort of behavior pattern that has been instilled in you, whether that was from your career, your life experiences, your upbringing. Again, there's something that aligns with you and that resonates with you that is causing you to do whatever you're doing today. I can tell you my story as to how I ended up in coaching, right? And I can tell you everything that led up to that. I'm actually doing a podcast interview later on this week about that, right? But it's a very dangerous place to be when you are so stuck on just wanting to pull from others' self-awareness and not your own. And again, when only 10 to 15 people in this world know true self-awareness, I'm going to say that you shouldn't be consulting anybody and everybody, right? I'm not saying you can't have a coach. I'm not saying you can't have an advisor. Those are trusted people, right? However, to just be consulting anybody and everybody and sharing your dreams with anybody and everybody, it's a no for me. It's a no. There are things coming up for me that I'm probably not going to tell anybody. And it's not because I don't want to. Because the human side of me, yes, I want to tell everybody. I want to tell the world. I really do, because I'm excited about it. But in this season, I don't want to speak on it. I'll speak on it when it's done. That's just the approach that I'm taking right now. And even if I did want to tell somebody, there are probably only like a couple of people that I would consider telling, that I know they have trusted insight, right? It's not going to be no anybody and everybody. This is not. Social media definitely won't be the place to know. They'll find out when it's done. They'll find out when it's done. Right? But that was internal self-awareness, right? So in short, they have a strong handle on their place in the world. You have to have a firm belief. You got to stand 10 toes down on what your position in the world is. Again, you have to stand 10 toes down on it. There will be things that will come up along your journey that will try to waver you from that. But even when they come up, again, this is the power of self-awareness. You know what it feels like. You know how your body gets the feeling. Your stomach start hurting, you get butterfly, whatever it is that's your warning sign. Your body is designed to pick up on that. So if you start noticing that every time so-and-so come around, your stomach start hurting, that's a sign. You get a headache, that's a sign. It might mean you don't need to be associating with so-and-so, or you need to reevaluate so-and-so, right? If you realize every time you step into an environment, when I was working my 9 to 5, I developed anxiety and depression working in my 9 to 5. I didn't even know, like I knew what it was, but I never knew what it felt like. I didn't know what was going on with me. I just knew that I started feeling different and I started feeling weird. And I started paying attention to how I felt when I stepped into these environments, or how I felt when certain people came to my cubicle. I started paying attention to that. Those were warning signs to me. What my gut feelings indicated. If I felt like somebody was stressing me out, or if they were just picking, whatever case may be, like those were warning signs that were letting me know that something was happening and it wasn't a good thing. Our bodies are designed to protect us. That's what they're designed for. They're designed to always try to keep us in a state of safety. So anything that triggers that is going to give off a response that you should not ignore, right? It's the same thing in business. I don't care if you get to the table ready to sign the paperwork for the deal. If you get to the table ready to sign the paperwork for the deal and all of a sudden you start having this weird migraine, you probably shouldn't be signing that paperwork. You probably should tell them we're not going to go through with this. But you have to be self-aware enough to know that if you did it before, if you made it to the signing table once, you can make it to the signing table again. Some people would be like, well, I can't pass up on this amount of money. Why? If you did it once, you can do it again. Because process has proven itself. Your self-awareness has proven itself. Your self-trust has proven itself. So how your body is remembering how those things turned out, that's how it's always going to remember. Yeah, you can determine whether a person has an inviting spirit or a bad spirit, right? Corporate teaches us to ignore how we think or feel. Yes, it does. It does. But in a situation like that, you have to be so self-aware to know that if you did it one time, you can do it again. You made it to the closing table and it was like a $50,000 deal, you can do it again. Follow the same steps. Believe the same belief. Feel the same feelings. Do it again with a different company. It's the same thing. Right? But be so self-aware and knowing that if something like that comes up, you can walk away from it knowing that you didn't lose anything. You didn't lose. Because it really may have been something. It obviously was something that was protecting you from something else. Right? I'm glad I'm helping. Thank you, Adrian. You can't operate from a state of scarcity. You can't operate from a state of scarcity. I know for the past few months, I haven't shown up for my business the way that I need to. There's a lot of stuff been going on in my house. But it's one thing about it. Life doesn't stop lifing. It doesn't stop happening just because it's happening for you. Right? It doesn't stop happening. You have to learn how to deal with it. You have to reach some sort of point of emotional regulation. You have to reach some sort of point in saying things are going to be better. Why? Because I'm going to make them better. Period. You just got to keep pushing. Right, Kim? And shout out to Kim because Kim didn't help me a lot of she helped me a lot of days. Right? You have to keep pushing because it's one thing that stands true. If you choose to stay in that state, things will always be the same. But if you choose to move on, things could be different. It's just that true. Just that true. Like we make everything so over complex. One thing stands true. If you know you in a state to where things seem real crappy right now, well, one thing about it, if you stay standing in crap, it's gonna always be crap. It's gonna always be crap. Always. But if you choose to step out of it, it can be different. You can choose for it to be different. Right? So, external self-awareness is about knowing how other people see you. For instance, leaders with strong external self-awareness, are better able to understand and accept different perspectives, and they have a stronger ability to practice empathy. This is called emotional regulation. This is emotional intelligence. External self-awareness is emotional intelligence. That's the ability for you to accept people's perspectives, no matter what they think, how they feel, religion, politics, whatever. Okay, you feel how you feel. You think how you think. You believe in what you believe in. Cool. Fine. I can accept that. She said, repeat that. External self-awareness is about knowing how other people see you. So you know it, right? For instance, leaders with strong external self-awareness are better able to understand and accept different perspectives, and they have a stronger ability to practice empathy. Okay? There is one thing that I pride myself on, and that is welcoming different perspectives and multiple perspectives. Am I ever saying as a business coach and a business strategist that everything that I teach is the only way to go about doing the thing? That is never what I am saying. I have sat at the feet of many coaches, many advisors, many teachers. I welcome different perspectives. Why? Because it may help me see things better. It may help me see things differently. It may teach me something as far as human behavior and why people would think the way that they think, which is still something that I could use in my practice, whether I agree with it or I don't. I know that my teaching, my coaching, my guidance is not the end all be all. I know that. I'm hoping that I'm not the last coach that you're going to have. I know that there are other coaches that are higher than me as far as socioeconomic status. I know that. That's not keeping me from coaching. So I'm aware of how people see me. I'm aware that in my industry, people are going to compare me. They did it before. And I handled it accordingly. Okay, cool. It's just like you shopping. It ain't no big deal to me. Ain't no big deal to me. So I can accept and I can understand how potential buyers may be viewing me or may be going through this buying process or this sorting process, whatever they're doing. I can know and accept it. Right? That's external self-awareness. I expect that. Go ahead, Adrian, ask your question. I expect it to happen. Why? Because human behavior. I expect it to happen. I expect to be compared to others. Why? Because human behavior. She is a verb. I expect it to happen. I expect to receive questions about my process. I expect for people to ask me for reviews. I expect for people to look me up to see if I'm true to who I am. I expect that. And because I expect that, guess what? I'm prepared because what? All of my social media proof is there. You can go to my Google page. You can go on my Instagram. You can go on my TikTok. All of my social proof is there. I'm having case studies written up right now of past clients. All of my social proof is there. And even if I was a brand new coach and I had no clients, I am my social proof. I only talk about the life that I live. I'm not talking about anything outside of that. When I taught business credit, I was my only client when I first started. And I was trying to get people on the train. Those that accepted, they accepted. Those that didn't, they didn't. It's cool. But one thing they couldn't say is that I wasn't working my process, that I was teaching them. And at that point, I was doing it for free. I did business credit consultation for free to teach the people the process. But I was showing them that I was doing it. And I could do it over and over again with any business that I have. That's the thing. That's why I'm so adamant about learning process. When you know and understand process, when you allow people to teach you, when you put yourself in a state of being a student to be able to receive, it's not demeaning your leadership. It should be positioning you for greater because you're learning. So you should be able to learn from somebody in your industry, or maybe even not in your industry, from somebody that's doing better than you. You should be able to put yourself in the position to be able to receive. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean I'm lesser than. Adrian, let me see. What does it say? What if their leadership say that the person is mediocre but never work with the person? Can you explain that a little bit better? Like, what are you trying to say? You said, what if the leadership says that The person is mediocre but has never worked with the person. Oh, if somebody in leadership says that an employee is mediocre, but they have never actually worked with them, that's self-concept. So that's self-actualization. So do you believe, or whoever the person is, my question to that person would be, does that person believe that they are a mediocre person? That's self-concept, self-actualization. If that's not what that person believes, I mean, that's the end of their conversation, no matter what their leadership says. Because I'm gonna be honest, working in corporate America, them leadership people, they look real good on paper, but they terrible. They terrible at performance. They look great on paper. They do not know how to do their job. They don't. So I would ask that person, is that what they are self conceptualizing? If that's what they're accepting about themselves. Because the way you view yourself is always gonna be the way that you view yourself. Going back to my conversation, like I just said, if God said that I was made in his image, why would I question it? What am I questioning? And again, we're human beings. I get it, right? But God already told me I was made in his image. He already told me that I was going to do works that exceeded his. Okay. It's in the Bible. It's law. It's there. Whether or not you accept that is solely up to you. But this is how the world works. Law. Right? I worked with plenty of executives and leadership team that I knew that they thought I was too smart for my own good. I knew that. So they always tried to keep me in projects or positions that never allowed me to exercise another or a higher level of thinking. I knew that. I picked up on that. They kept me stuck in the same position for 6 years because they knew if I ever evolved to a higher position in leadership, that means I would be allowed to use my brain. So they kept me in the same position for 6 years. But they always called on me for what it was that they needed. I got them through several FDA audits, the Federal Drug Administration, yes, because I used to work in medical device. I got them through several FDA audits, US FDA and China FDA. I was the only person they could call on because all the rest of the staff had quit. But even with all of the rest of the staff being there, I was the go-to person. I knew where everything was. I had the keys. I had the keys. So during that time, I was highly favored, if you will, in the environment because she's the golden goose. We have to nestle up to her. We have to, give her high praises. We have to because we got to make it through this audit. If we don't make it through this audit, the FDA could shut us down. They could sue us. Consumers could sue us because we can't pull documents. Several things, a whole domino effect of things could go really wrong if we don't really make sure that we have this stuff in order. Whose job was it to make sure it was in order? It was mine. So during those times, also because I was so good at what I did, they was just like, we can't promote her. Because if we promote her, then how can we be sure that the next person that comes in is going to be as good as her? She didn't got us through too many audits. So to some extent, I dug my own grave because I was too good at what I did. But that was just my nature, right? But it's self-actualization. So during that time, I didn't know how to self-advocate. So how they treated me was how I started seeing myself. And I didn't know how to self-advocate for myself. Today, I don't have that problem. I know I'm great. I know I bring a lot to the table. I know I'm an asset to anybody's team. I know I'm an amazing coach. I know I transform people. I know I have a very powerful coaching program. I know that. I know when I speak, it resonates with people. Whenever I have speaking engagements, I know that. Even if it's only one person in the room, I know that. I don't need anybody to tell me that. Do I have days when my confidence may feel low? Yeah, and I know it. And I do what I need to do to get myself together and I move on, right? That's what I'm talking about with self-awareness. You have to develop these practices for yourself. You have to, because it may not be anybody around that can help pull you out of this slump. So you have to know how to do these things for yourself. It should always start with self. So to me, yes, I am the best coach ever. Yes, I have the best clients ever. Yes, they get the most amazing results. My strategies are astronomically amazing. That's how I see myself. I see myself as the next female mogul. I say that all the time. Do I show up every day as her? Not necessarily, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress every day. At least I have a target and I know what I am shooting towards. There are too many people walking around here don't have a target. I know what I desire. That's what I desire. So I'm aiming for that target, right? Decisiveness, clarity. Again, my formula: confidence, clarity equals coin. Period. Period. Whatever you think is being held up, this can work if you in your 9 to 5 or if you are a business owner. Whatever you think is being held up, confidence, clarity, coins. So your 9 to 5, if you are not advocating for yourself, that means you have low confidence about yourself, which means there's something along the lines of clarity that you need to work through. Once you get both of those together, shoot for that raise, that higher position within the same company, a different company, whatever you decide to do, or start the side hustle, because maybe working for another company is too good for you. Start the side hustle. Confidence, clarity, coins. I really needed to hear this today before I go into work. I'm glad that you found it helpful, and I'm glad that it helped you. I really am. I really am. But start looking at yourself differently, even with me being as great. So the goal, if you are somebody that you know you are great, that you know you're going to have like a, whatever huge mission that you're tackling, you should always, you're welcome, you should always also look at the other side of the coin too. Because if everything you do in society is always perceived as right, like you don't have nobody that's challenging your belief or that's challenging the way that you do things, I'm not here to people please. I'm expecting for somebody to not like me. I'm expecting for somebody to challenge my beliefs. I'm expecting for somebody to say she lying. I'm expecting for somebody to say she don't know what she's talking about. It is my job through self-actualization and self-awareness to know and understand that regardless of how the people feel about me, I sleep good at night. My nervous system ain't disturbed. Why? Because I ain't did nothing that I wasn't supposed to be doing. I stood true to what it was that I do. Now, whether me standing true to what it is that I do, you have a good day too. Whether me standing true to what it is that I do disturbs the peace or not, that ain't up to me. I'm going to always stick true to what it is that I do. I'm never going to put myself in a lane or in a place that isn't true to what it is that I do or what I believe. Because why? Then I have to start acting like somebody that I don't know. And I can't act like nobody I don't know. Because even when you're acting, this is why liars end up getting caught up. You can only lie for so long. You can only lie for so long before your natural flow or natural behavior or natural state of being starts to come out. That's why liars end up getting caught. At one point, you're gonna be thrown out because you're gonna be so relaxed that when somebody comes and asks you a question or when somebody comes and does something, whatever your natural reaction would be, you'll end up getting caught in that moment. That's why people can only wear masks for so long. You can only appear to be what it is that you are for so long if it's not really you. That's why. Your natural behavior is going to display itself every time. At some point, you won't be able to keep the act up. You'll get exhausted. Your nervous system will start getting exhausted. So, um, It even states here in this article as well that leaders who want to avoid an ego blind spot and practice both components of self awareness stand to reap substantial benefits. It sounds intimidating to gain more of an honest perspective of oneself, but knowing oneself more clearly can also be a source of empowerment. You have to be self empowered. So when these things come up, that's why when people, again, going back to the example that I just talked about, going viral, when people go viral, that's why their emotions be so dysregulated because of the comments that they receive up under the post. You know, if you put it on social media, I think Camille just posted this the other day. You know, if you put it on social media, you are welcoming Pandora's box to anything that it is that you're saying. So you should already prepare yourself to receive whatever responses you're going to receive by putting it out into a world, because you don't know if it's going to go viral, who it's going to come across or not. And once you put it out there, whoever has right of speech, which we all pretty much do, whether they agree with what you put out or they don't, you just have to be emotionally and mentally prepared for that. Am I saying that people always write about the negative connotations and the negative comments that they put? No, not necessarily. But the thing is, it's going to happen. If you run ads in your business, if you want to see some real trolls come up out the sewer, run some ads. Run some ads to your business. Do that. Run some ads to your business and look at the comments in like 30 days or like over the 30-day period. You will see people that you just like, where did you come from? But you have to look at it and laugh. You have to look at it and laugh. Because it's like, of all places, you landed here just to say that, and you don't know nothing about me. You don't know me from the paint on the wall. But you had no energy to curate this to say this. Okay. And most of the time, it's just going to be people projecting on you. And you have to be, again, self-aware to know that that's what people are doing. Mentally and emotionally stable. You have to know. Like, you have to ground yourself in that, in those practices. It's important. It's a daily practice. Every day looks different. Right? So, I didn't really go into everything, but I got to wrap this up because I got to get going to my appointment. So, if you found any value from this live today, again, being prepared, being ready doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be prepared. Focus more on being ready and then prepare yourself for what it is that you are being ready for. Like, don't wait until you have all of these things together. Don't wait until you gotten approval from so-and-so. Don't wait until you consult this person or that person. Be ready. Just start being ready. So get yourself together. Say, I'm ready. Okay. Now that you have admitted that to yourself and you're ready, start preparing for what it is that you are working towards. Prep. Put yourself in posture of preparation. Because being ready is the hard part. The preparation is not the hard part. Being ready is the hard part. There's somebody today, like I put in my caption, there's somebody today that said that they're getting ready for something. Just be ready today, in this moment. Be ready. Just be ready. Decide that you're ready today and start the preparation process. Okay? You will not always be prepared for what it is, right? But you can be as prepared as you are. I hope it don't go over nobody's head. You will not always be prepared for everything, but you will be as prepared as you are. And if you know you ain't prepared, then expect it to go how it's gonna go. That's it, right? But don't be mad about it, right? So, the group, the application for Elevate Your Mastery is open. So I am welcoming a new cohort for group coaching for a new program. I am walking in my be readiness today. I love it. I love everything about it. So these are the type of things that I teach, that I talk about inside of my coaching, whether it's one-to-one or it's group. If this is something that's of interest to you, you know you need this guidance, this support, you need the tactical strategies as well. This is what we talk about. These are things that we cover. We go into deeper detail. I get to assess you on a deeper level. I'm working with you closer and get you to where it is that you desire to be. Like, it can happen if you want it to happen, right? And let it happen with, again, like I said, being in the posture of preparation. So you welcome the prep to get to where it is that you want to be and that you desire, right? So Elevation Mastery applications are open. The link is in the caption. It's also in the first comment on this video. If you have any questions from this live, if after this live you have some sort of epiphany or something that comes up, let me know. I'll be happy to discuss it with you, because I do hope that you get value from these lives every time I go live, which I know you all do, because I'm only going to bring value. But I'm hoping that it was able to cue some sort of a light bulb or something for you in your development today, and you welcome the possibility to explore it a little bit deeper after you hop off of here. So I'm getting ready to go to my appointments, and then I got to hit the gym because I got a flight in the morning. So deuces to you all. Share this with somebody who you know needs it, and I will see you all, I think, maybe Wednesday. We're going to see. Winning Wisdom Wednesday. We're going to see. I'll let y'all know. And yeah, that's it. I hope y'all have an amazing week. Let's make it great. Let's go out and do great things. And I will see y'all later.